In Sports Tonight, the Cardiff Hawks defeat West Wallsend in the AFL Hunter Central Coast Plate. The NHRU results and highlights are also up. And the Newcastle Knights secure huge wins in both the NSWRL, New South Wales Cup, and Jersey Flag Cups as well. Good evening, I'm Conklin McLeod and welcome to Sports Tonight. Also, we'll have the Group 21 Rugby League as well. But first, the Cardiff Hawks secured a huge win against Wallsend West Newcastle as part of the AFL Hunter Central Coast Men's Plate, and it was round 8. It was round 8 of the competition right on the weekend, which was huge.
But to be honest with you, the stand rules.
Toby March, and he could be
It was a match that Cardiff needed to win, and they certainly did just that.
Great result for him and the Hawks. Just during this 50-metre penalty, make 3 interchanges, just in and out, in and out. It's the depth that's the envy, not only of the Swans.
Of course, the Cardiff Hawks were just too good for Wallsend West Newcastle right over the weekend.
Contest here. I think this is Metcalf. Metcalf, has he marked it? Yes, he has, and he's going to stroll into an open goal and kick the first goal of the third quarter for the Hawks.
And he certainly did just that.
Metcalf, number 38. And first goal of the quarter goes to the Cardiff Hawks, and that was completely against the run of the first minute. So a really good passage of play there by Cardiff along the wing. Zach Metcalf cleans up a good piece of play there by Andrew Walker. And the Cardiff Hawks extend their lead to 63 points, 11 goals, 773. West Wallsend, Newcastle Swans, 1 goal, 410. I think my mate, my side at Tix, finished his lunch. How'd you enjoy the works burger, mate?
And of course, Cardiff were unstoppable. Too good for Wallsend. And of course, the Cardiff Hawks were just too strong for their rivals right throughout the game.
The ball is still in play. All it needs to be do is swooped up there by
Thankfully, Cardiff knew exactly what to do. And of course, they had to kick the ball plenty of times.
3 have been off his foot, 1 off the
right in the goal line.
Beautiful volley there by Ryan Moore. Very un-AFL-like, but
and of course, it was defeat. And of course, it was time to defeat. And of course, it was time to defeat the Wallsend West Newcastle Swans, as Cardiff were leading 131 to 11. Then, with a penalty left, Cardiff were not going anywhere.
Put nails on the coffin. The coffin's been sealed since the second term. Now, it looks to me like it was... Could that have even been Osborne, potentially?
Might have been 34, I think.
As the Hawks ended up securing a massive win. But with only plenty of minutes, with only minutes left on the clock, it was just unstoppable. It was just incredible for the Hawks, who are now leading by 138 points to 11. And of course, Wallsend's hopes were fading away. Cardiff's were not, and of course the Hawks were in second, and they still are.
Just assessing his options as he walks backwards.
Of course the Hawks now by up to 140.
Just the 2 so far. Maybe beyond his
and it was right up
here.
at their hometown of Cameron Park.
Swing at it.
That's a decent hit. I think he's done it.
He's done it. Goal number 3. His teammates Walker and O'Neill just come to celebrate. Add on Wilson and add on Vincent. Far out. What a
That's a decent
Now,
hit. He's
the Hawks led
he's the second player
146
on
to
the day to have
11.
3 goals to his name.
And
James
also,
played a really solid game to go
one of their
today, Ziggy.
players
He's just
added 3 goals.
presented. He's been,
And because of it,
you know,
it was
he's really
just
put
a
himself up for every
spectacular one
contest, and he's just
for
run
Cardiff.
all days. He just
And of
Healthy
course,
cut. Wasn't he exciting? 3 to Andrew Walker, the tall forward.
but however,
3 to
Wolves
Cam
and West
Jones,
Newcastle
2
were
to
not
Andrew
getting
Bridge,
away.
2 to Matthew King, 2 to David Grant. Probably could have been
But however,
the way he was going. And 2 to Toby Marchant. Single goals to Kane Sharman.
But however, Cardiff were
Carr,
just too
and
strong
Aaron
for their
Stevens right in that
rivals.
final term. For the Swans, just the opening quarter major to Hayden Taylor. The free kick, of course.
Cardiff were just too good for their rivals. 147 to 11.
For the Men's Cup clash between the Hawks and the Saints.
Now, of course, let's have a look at the results, and of course, Cardiff's 147 to 11 win over Wolves and West Newcastle now gets the Hawks into a much better position, and also a huge spot into the and also into a much better position through to the into the AFL Hunter Central Coast Finals. Meanwhile, Terrigal Avoca also won after defeating Wyong Lakes in a battle of the Central Coast. Meanwhile, Nelson Bay defeated Newcastle City by 10, while it was also another battle of the Central Coast as the entrants Batter Bay defeated Killarney Vale 179 to 14. And also, let's look at the ladder. Terrigal Avoca were in first, Newcastle City second, Wyong Lakes are in third, while the entrants Batter Bay are in fourth, and of course Cardiff are in fifth, keeping Wolves and West Newcastle sixth, and of course Muswellbrook are in seventh, Gosford are in eighth, and Lake Macquarie are in ninth. Of course, still on local sport, and of course there was a lot of Hunter Rugby that started over. There was a lot of Hunter Rugby Union that started over the weekend. And of course, it all but started with it all but started off with of course it started with Lake Macquarie taking on Nelson Bay. Round 6 of the Hunter Rugby started off on Round 6 of the Hunter Rugby Union started off on Saturday when Nelson Bay and Lake Macquarie played against each other. And also, both teams quickly struggled to make it through, but with Mayweather Carlton having the bye, Nelson Bay was the only team that was scoring right throughout the entire match. But also, even though Nelson Bay was scoring, Lake Macquarie were not giving up without a fight. And because of it, Lake Macquarie scored their second try. But it just wasn't enough to secure a win. Also, the one after, Maitland left Singleton scoreless. And of course, as the Maitland Blacks took on the Singleton Bulls. And of course, it's what Hunter Rugby looks like. And of course, with plenty of tries scored by Maitland, it was just massive for plenty of the ones that had to be held onto a good spirit. And of course, Maitland were treating Singleton like a lot of dust. And of course, Singleton threatened to have a comeback. But sadly, that comeback was not enough though. As Maitland's try-scoring comeback continued. And of course, great ideas came from Maitland as they secured one of their biggest wins of all, right up in the second game of round six of the Hunter Rugby Union competition. That was between Singleton. But there wasn't much time left on the clock as both teams were battling it out against each other. The full-time score, Maitland 62, Singleton 5. Then the Hamilton Hawks took on the Wanderers. And of course, there was another game that came up. And of course, Hamilton led 17 points to 7.
And the Hawks are with it.
And of course, Hamilton was showing no chances of slowing down.
Going for the line. He's there.
As Hamilton scored and were leading 24 to 7.
Play takes on Ashworth and Keogh. 10 away here, Hamilton. Looking for their 5th. It's gone to ground. Brown was underneath it. Nell's going to have to clean this back up. 30 out. He's got Ashworth all over him, just hanging onto the bootlaces. And a late hit there from Bryce. He could be in trouble.
But Hamilton was not giving up.
Bryce.
The Wanderers had one of their players receive a yellow card. And of course, Hamilton received a penalty goal.
Hams with it. Just hanging onto the jersey.
But the Wanderers weren't giving up. But by the time that they scored a try, it was just too late.
He's going to get there. Wanderers strike back. And didn't they need that? Kenny. He's looking for number 2.
Also, Hamilton had to get everything done.
And they get there. Too many bodies in the way for me. But Hamilton get there.
Thankfully, Hamilton had to get one of their best wins of all. They won 32 points to 12.
Good stuff here. Balls come loose. There's a chance.
But the score didn't last long as Hamilton won
and it's a convincing win here for Hamilton.
32 points to 19. And the last one officially came up. University of Newcastle taking on the Southern Beaches. And of course, it was the last match of round 6. As all teams prepare to get ready for round 7 of the Hunter Rugby Union competition. Southern Beaches were struggling, but thankfully, University of Newcastle wasn't. And of course, University scored the best tries of all. They were not giving up. And of course, University scored one of the best and also the best of the best as well. Whatever team you support, it's always coming up to the very good. By the time the Southern Beaches had scored, their time had just run out. University 36, Southern Beaches 21. Just like their NRL side, the Newcastle Knights New South Wales Cup and Jersey Flag Cup side had victories over the weekend against the Penrith Panthers. The Knights were just too good for their rivals right throughout the game. And because of it, They had to beat the Panthers into the New South Wales Cup first. And of course, the Knights scored plenty more tries than their Panthers opponents. And of course, thankfully, the Knights knew what to do. Score tries, as well as having a lot more done. As well as stopping Penrith from winning. But thankfully, Newcastle knew what to do in the second half. And of course, it was time to do the right thing. It was time to score a try, and it certainly came true. It was time to score more for Newcastle, as the New South Wales Cup side secured a victory. And it was right up against the Panthers. And of course, it was just a massive success over the weekend. And of course, it was just, of course, marvellous for the Knights. And of course, Newcastle had to stop the Panthers from winning to make sure that Newcastle would be the winners. Still on the Knights, and of course, just like the NRL and New South Wales Cup side having a win, the Jersey Flag Knights also had a victory as well against the Penrith Panthers, and it was right up in Maitland. Newcastle knew exactly what to do just to impress the home crowd.
Held. Release, last tackle. Hold Billy.
Even though the Panthers tried to have a fight back, but it was all too late. And that was good. All three games of the round 6 of the Hunter Valley's Group 21 Rugby League has all been wrapped up. And because of that, Scone secured a win over Muswellbrook, while Greta Brankston secured a victory over Aberdeen, and also Denman defeated Singleton. If there's two rivals that always have or always been on the Group 21 Rugby League competition, it's Scone and Muswellbrook.
Only a couple of minutes in, and Thoroughbreds across for their first try of the game.
Of the black bloke, he went under, and it's now Watts from in front. I'll tell you what, I'm glad they've got the live score updates at the moment, because it's going to be interesting when we start our live podcast.
And of course, Jake Watts had to quickly give the first conversion of goal. While Jake Clydesdale scored a try.
He moves in and strikes it from 10 metres out.
Easy.
With heavy underfoot as he moved in, but it's over the black dice.
Then, just after Joshua Adams scored Scone's second try, Jared Austin scored Scone's third try.
Right out here, typical Scone executed play. Muswellbrook players drifting across topless, gets the ball behind from Wicks, and then a cut out pass to Jared. Still go to that way. No, they jump to the short side.
And then,
Clydesdale's been hit with a great ripper of a tackle.
in spectacular good reasons, Scone continued on their good amount of success.
Here we go. Back to Watts. A crossfield kick. Literally a crossfield. Muswellbrook should not play at this, and it's Crickland has collected the ball off the ground, and he's been belted over the top by Isaac Austin.
And the Rams players put their hands in the air and asked for the penalty, but nothing coming.
But of course, no penalty came for Muswellbrook. The Rams frustrated because of it.
Again, Scone dominating that ruck. Here we go, number 5.
Then Scone's defence was on again. It certainly was.
Then it's chipped ahead. and now it's going to be Juicing to clean it up. He gets up, he's made some metres. It could have been a nearly dangerous play there by Musselbrook, by Scone for Musselbrook, but they're paying attention to that.
And of course, the Scone thoroughbreds were not fight. And of course, the Scone thoroughbreds were not going down without a fight.
Great tackle there by Spathis. Now they go to the open side, and it's Daniel Ritter with the ball. Bang! Oh, it busts into Wade McKenzie. Wrestles. Oh, that flick pass again with that arm free.
Brother flick pass becoming huge.
And he's wrestling with Button. Oh,
it was the
nearly
best.
close to the upright. Dummy half. Luke Clydesdale. Crash play coming up. Yes, it's Watts. No, it's Jake Watts, and he's turned over. Metres out from the try line. Millimetres out. Will it be Clydesdale from dummy half, or will they spend it out? Well, they've got to play to the left. And it's Clydesdale tries himself and Musselbrook up to the task. They had a play set to the left, and Adam Clydesdale tried, and Musselbrook said we'd known this play before.
Of course.
So change over.
Two captain coach Clydesdale. Oh,
Scone were unstoppable right throughout the game.
The players were appealing for something.
With Isaac Austin scoring one of the best tries of all.
Clydesdale hit the ground at Austin. The players were calling for a knock on, and this Clydesdale
Good
around
news
the back,
for the
Wicks. And it's off to Topless. Topless dummies goes himself.
for
This will be
the,
a try. Come on.
for Scone.
League tag.
Hayden Topless scoring
That was
one of Scone's most recent tries.
And the captain coach would be spraying them about that. And Roon, I think, with that ball with
But by the time there was seconds on the clock, it was just too late for Musselbrook. Scone were just too good for their rivals. As Scone won the match 44 points to 20.
Centre of the field, 30 metres out. Downfield kick, you've got speedsters from the Scone Thoroughbreds back there, and it's Topless. It just lays down, succumbs to the tackle. They put a hand on him, and that's it for the ball game. 44 points to 20.
Next up was, of course, Greta Brankston up against Aberdeen. And of course, the home side were just too good. And of course, these two teams never like each other. And they never do. And of course, those teams also like to score try after try and kick goal after goal. But then during the match, during a tackle, things got ugly. And also, the uglier it got. Not just that, there was a lot of violence on the field. A few punches, as well as a lot of pushing and shoving. But thankfully, they all had to be broken up. But as it all continued on, they all had to be drifted apart from each other. Then, things started to go the right way for Greta Brankston. As Greta Brankston knew what to do. But then, the good times came in for Greta Brankston, scoring plenty of tries, including this one. Which was scored by John Dale. Then Greta Brankston knew exactly what to do. Score a try. Just with a couple of minutes left on the clock. The final score, 22-16.
by number 12, Charlie Ray. Score is now Colts 22, Aberdeen 16.
Also, the third and final game was, of course, the game between Denman and Singleton, and of course, it was Denman's day, and they secured a 52-14 win over Singleton. And of course, Denman had a much anticipated match coming on, and it was up against their rival Singleton. And of course, tries were scored, but also they continue to be scored. But also, that's what they continue to become. We all knew what Denman are.
Shut down the hardest man on the field at the moment. And it's, Togaverde puts it down. It's been touched by Singleton now. So it's going to be Denman with the scrum feed 10 metres out from the goalpost. I'd almost say.
With Denman having the scrum, it was always going to be a... Singleton touched the ball, however. So that's what resulted into a penalty scrum. Denham ran with the ball. Because of that, they scored one of the best tries of all.
Pretty much bang on it then. When Bailey Taylor's going to be involved in it. Indoor score.
Fraser Evans scores that Bailey Taylor's going to score, so there you go. He knows the side, he plays alongside the boys and knew what was coming there.
Again, he's a young bloke that's uncannily strong.
He's out centre of the field. That's Denman got more points than
Then, Denman scored one of the most incredible tries in Group 21 Rugby League history.
It's going to be a foot race to the try line. Ben Butler tries. No, it's not. It's Alex McNeil with his second try for the match. And
Alex McNeil scoring his second try for Denman. It was for the night.
6 minutes remaining on the clock. Bailey Taylor with a difficult kick from the sideline.
So a conversion for goal had to come right after that.
Now with all the injuries that they've sustained, blood bins, concussions,
Tough day at the office for him, that's for sure.
knees.
Certainly some of the execution for Denman's been a whole lot better. When I say execution, just those short, sharp plays they're running, those little inside balls. It's very, very noticeable when you got young Bailey Taylor.
Of course,
on that inside ball.
and of course,
Towards the centre of the ruck, quick play balls as well. Absolutely.
I'm backing a
and of course, Bailey Taylor had to quickly kick the ball right into the goal.
with a very experienced bloke. No one's going to trouble this game. No matter who makes them in the grand final, that's what it is.
Not with
And of course, the rugby league footballs, what every rugby league player has to use.
Getting to the crowd. Oh, look at Bailey Taylor. He slotted that from near the sideline into the wing. 52-14. 5 minutes remaining on him.
And of course, that's how it stayed though.
4-0 there in the opening exchanges.
52-14 was the final score. Denman securing a huge win.
I don't know. Hard one to pick. Both sides have played very well. I think Bailey Taylor would have to be up there. Yeah, Bailey Taylor. Certainly Bales.
Green sends it on to Butler. Butler just stood there. He didn't even try and make any metres then. He just stood there and took the tackle. Ray Parnell in the dummy half. Off to Ethan Andrews. Gives it on to Gardner. Off to John Douglas. Here we go. Something special happening here for the Singleton Greyhounds. And they're up over the 10-metre line, but they're brought down. Post contact metres for John Douglas this season's been huge. Here we go. Jerkins gives it on to Ethan Andrews. He deserves a try. Can he get there? No, he can't. He's brought down just shy of the try line. If anyone else deserves a try, it's Parnell. Will they get the ball out to the man? Jerkins at dummy half. Off to Green. Green again thinking of what was going to happen after before catching the ball. Down.
That's how it stayed though.
Green getting stuck with the ball. And there we go. Chapman for
There was not much time left on the clock.
He'll get up slowly.
Now there was 15 seconds left
He'll just jog across field and run
until the match between Denman and Singleton was over.
They're just going to wait for that to... Luke, you just said, just hang in there, son. We'll just dance this last one out.
But the match over, Denman won the game, 52-14. And with that, Scone are at the top of the ladder, while Denman are in second, Greta Brankston are in third, leaving Muswellbrook in fourth, Aberdeen in fifth, and Singleton in sixth. And don't forget, after the break, we'll wrap it all up with a play of the day. Time for the play of the day, and before we go tonight, here's a game that we cannot actually go past. Newcastle Rugby League, that is. And of course, in round 9 of the Newcastle Rugby League, Souths and Wests were both tying at 10-all when South Newcastle scored the match-winning try. And of course, they also kicked the match-winning goal. And of course, Souths won the game. And of course, the final score, 16 points to 10, and that is the play of the day. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm Colin McLeod. Thank you very much. Good night.